Tuning in to Chaos Culture Radio, dropping knowledge in the studio you already know.
Of you know my cousins, but they speak highly of you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
that's his cousin.
Okay.
Those are my cousins.
It was like two. Remember the two guys that used to be with me and my brother. The two guys, the two twins, that's his cousin.
They spoke highly of you. When I say highly of you, they was telling me about you for years. He said it's the real deal.
I appreciate that, man.
You know what I mean? It was you and some other kid named Edson or something like that.
Edson Gene.
Edson Gene, but they really spoke about you, and it was like related to you more, and they were speaking about your story and you know how you grinded up. I said we got to interview this guy.
I'm glad to hear that, man. I would just say, I think something that Edson and I share in a big way is that we just like having a good time, like living life, and we like having something to give people. Life is full of takers. And I think I don't. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't think we like sit there and literally think, how can I give to people? Mm-hmm. I just think it's in our nature, and you see that in the way we do our art and the way we are on a social level with individuals. It's all about having a good time, but not having a good time that takes from others. Because life is full circle, and you will reap what you sow.
Wonderful, yes. But I don't know. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know the magnitude of what you and Edson are doing, because you got to understand something. Besides the Hispanic boys,
yeah, you
and Edson are a reality for people like me, Ronnie, and a lot of people who say, "Yo, these are actual actors."
Yeah,
like you actually played in movies. You actually did plays. Like we see this stuff, we hear about Tyler Perry, but it's a difference when it's somebody from your own neighborhood,
right? Somebody and that you've not met, or met that somebody has met.
Yeah, so I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. I've always wanted to get into film and stuff, but I never thought it was obtainable. I thought that was something for white boys and Hispanics.
Listen, bro, when I tell you everything in this life is attainable, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's just about us setting your mind and going for it.
No, 100%. But that's what I'm saying. I don't know if you know what you represent, because when I seen you when they was telling me y'all from the neighborhood, and then I went on your website, Burn Notice, the Glades, and you know what I'm saying, and I didn't even know you was on the Burn Notice, and you know what I mean, I'm like, yo, he was on this show. That was one of my shows I used to watch all the time.
I actually was a fan of the show before I even auditioned for it. I didn't follow it from the beginning season because I didn't know about it. Mom used to get cable for so long. Then for some reason she finally got it, and I stumbled upon the show. But yeah, it's a fun show. It's a fun show to work with. I never got to work with the lead actor, or any of the actual main cast. Mm-hmm. But you still got a chance to work with really cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. That means more than anything the fact that you was on it. But let me tell you something. You see, I can go on and on. Let's get straight to the point, because I know a lot of people gonna want to hear your story, to say that, you know what I mean, because we have a lot of Miamians who listen to us, to say we have an actual Miamian actor here who's from the city, like who's from the Gits and Glutter, gutter.
And to be specific, I'm not from Broward County. I'm from literal Miami, not even the outskirts.
Thank you.
Metro City.
Born Miami. Yes.
Lived in Hialeah.
That's why I like to hear, man. Born and raised in Miami.
Went to Southwest Miami High School. Went to Miami-Dade Wilson. So yeah, I've hit so many parts of Miami. I am full, true Miami.
Praise the Lord.
Been robbed in Liberty City while living there. I say I got
history. Exactly, yeah.
Went to church in Overtown when I was a little kid. I got history with Miami. Just saying, they know about me.
Which is beautiful. And damn. So let's get into it, because we definitely want to get into your story. Oh. We want to hear it, because I want everybody to hear that you know what I mean. And you just symbolize dreams are attainable. So. Chaos Culture Radio, full effect. We back in this again. It's me and my co-host.
Yeah, you know how the game goes, man. This your man, Ron, man. How's it going, Keith? What's happening?
We back, and Ron, I just want to say thank you again, because this is a special interview. I'm not going to this going special interview, and I'm not going to curse this time, because I want kids to listen to this. I want kids to listen to this one. This is important for the kids out of Liberty City, Brown Sub, Overtown, Little Haiti, wherever you at. I need people to listen to this. We have a special guest, and I want you to introduce him. Cause you know what I mean?
This guest here is one of my favorite guests. I'm not gonna lie, because I actually know him personally. So it's like I'm smiling at the same time as I introduce him to the show, and he's just amazing. He's a man. There's so many names I could give him, but I'm just calling him extraordinary, amazing, out of this world, outstanding, very funny, comedian, an entrepreneur. I can go on and on and on and on and on. But this guy here, his name is Devon Dassaw. I knew him when I was in Wolfens and Miami-Dade Wolfens campus. Me and him, it was funny because me and him was actually in the same class, but he was more advanced in the acting field. So for me to be right next to him and for him to be on the show, it's just an honor, and I really do appreciate him, Devon, for being on the show. Devon, it's a welcome to have you here today, brother. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Correction. Hopefully my only correction for the night is pronounced Devon Dassaw or Dassaw.
Devon Dassaw. Sorry about that.
You can no, it's all good. It's close. It's better than Dawson. It's better than Thesaurus. Had a fourth grade teacher, and she would call me Thesaurus. She's one of them old.
You see, guys, you got 40 years. That's what I love. But this guy's amazing.
Yeah, but Devon, where did that last name come from? Is that like an ethnic origin? Like
I found out that it is. I'm actually adopted, and my name was changed. My birth last name is Carr, Carr, but that's my adopted parents' last name, and it turns out that my adopted father is of Haitian descent. Like one side of the family is American, the other side is like French Haitian. So I think that last name is a French Creole.
Ça passe,
But you know, looking at him, you would never guess that he was Haitian. There's nothing about him that suggests Haitian. You would think you would think he was, you know, the descendant of American slaves. You know, very black, very black American, very jive. I think was his main language. You know, and so I didn't find out that he had any Haitian background until I think I was already in college. Then I found out, and I've been with this family since I was 4 years old.
Wow.
So, you know, you find this stuff out later. I met his mom, and his side of the family, you still would never guess it. There's nothing about that side of the family that says it. So, but yeah, that's the history of that name.
Yeah, man, that's a powerful beginning.
Yeah.
So, Hakeem, let's get to it. Let's get started, baby.
Let's get to it. So, you've already, you know, the first question I was going to ask you to tell us about yourself, you know what I'm saying? And, which you already got into it. You let us know where you're from and stuff like that. So when did you decide that you wanted to become an actor?
Man, high school. I remember it was summertime, and, you know, I have old school parents. So, you know, you get in trouble, your chores not done. They're going to tell you, listen, you get this work done and don't let me catch your eyes on the TV. And I remember like looking over. I just remember we weren't supposed to watch the TV, and I happened to catch the TV. And man, it was Rush Hour 2. My mom was watching Rush Hour 2. And I remember seeing Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan in the scene, and that whole moment where they think the money's a bomb. And they're like doing the whole rush to try to get it on the elevator, get upstairs. I just remember looking and like, man, this looks like so much fun. I want to be an actor. So this is the summertime, I believe, between senior and junior year. Or it may have even just been the second half of the school year of junior year. So I say, I'm going to sign up for acting as an elective. Signed up for it, found out, you know, it got a little bit of work. So much I didn't know about theater alone. And then I got to college, Miami-Dade, and I remember freshman year, I wanted to know, how do I do this acting thing? I'm on a online men's magazine that I absolutely loved in high school called AskMen.com. It's still around today. I really wish they would go back to the original Ask Men. It was just excellent. But being on Ask Men, you find this article that talks about how to be an actor. And so, you know, it was useful, but I started being in plays at Miami-Dade and connecting with folk when it was time to graduate from my 2-year degree program, which I actually took 3 years because I'm gonna be honest, you know, type of guy I was trying to be in every like activity group, every, you know, Phi Theta Kappa, the Math Honor Society. I was trying to be in every group and also trying to flirt with the females at Miami-Dade College. There was a lot of them. It was a lot to choose from. And so slacked, and it took me 3 years to do a 2-year degree only because I was just slacking. But when it was time to finish and graduate, I remember being approached by my supervisor who worked at the college, and she said, you're getting ready to graduate. What is it you want to do? And I was like, I want to be a lawyer and actor. And she goes, well, listen, they're worlds apart. Even though they can work together, they're worlds apart. When you're that young, you repeat what other people say. And, people are saying, yeah, well, to be a lawyer, you have to be an actor. And I'm just thinking, okay, I can make this work. And she's like, listen, you got to make a choice, because if you pursue one or the other, it's going to be a different workload. And so I said, let me do acting. By the way, I was working for the campus president, who he got wind that I wanted to get into acting. Turns out, right there as a part of the college, acting school, New World School of the Arts, which is part Miami-Dade College, Miami-Dade Public Schools, and part University of Florida. So campus president, my boss, he pulled some strings, got me in. My audition was horrible. Gets me into the program. I go through grueling 4 years of conservatory training in theater, learning stuff for the first time, being ridiculed for not being as talented, even being judged by fellow classmates. I mean, these people some of them came from money. Some of them had been doing theater since they were young. Not knowing your story, they're very judgmental, very, how should I put it? Self-centered. I still love them, but this is who they were. And I had to endure that. It was time to graduate. Prior to graduation, we in our senior year, we had interviews with different industry leaders, folks like, Lori Wyman, who is the person that cast most of my TV and film stuff that you've seen. Folks like Joe Adler, who's no longer with us. He passed away earlier this year. He managed and ran Gable Stage, a well-known theater in South Florida. And I remember being at a play before I graduated, and Joe says to me, he's like, come see me when you graduate. I was like, whoa, wait, okay. I go see him, my audition. He puts me in this beautiful show about the war that's going on in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And because of that, I guess my audition was good enough for him to cast me. It wasn't just because he met me at New World. I think the audition was also that well done. He got a chance before I graduated to see a show that I wrote and put together called Ooh, Mr. Corey, You Bad. It's about a preacher on his last Sunday. And I think Joe just absolutely adored it. And so he cast me in the show. While I'm in the show, Joe had, I think even before the show started rehearsals, Joe forwarded my information to an agent. That agent was connected to Lori Wyman, who does the film and TV shows, the big projects in South Florida. And I was getting sent on audition after audition after audition. Long story short, or in this case, short story long, I end up after 4 auditions, getting my first TV role in Burn Notice. We filmed that, I think, even before we started even rehearsing the play that I was put in. And so that just started me on my way. And it was the discipline and consistency of showing up to auditions, having lines memorized, working on building a character and telling a story, all those little things you learn in acting, coming to light. And that just led to audition after audition. I mean, I even had one where never happened before in any audition in my life, where the director said, listen, can I take photos of you because I love what you wore to the audition and I'd like to use this either for inspiration or maybe we'll have you wear the same thing. And I was like, wow. And it was a great launching point into the acting career itself. So that's the story of how I got in from high school to my first TV roles.
No, it's just an amazing story. I was going to ask him, can you tell them what high school you went to? So people know exactly what high school you went to.
La Sawacera High School, Southwest Miami High, down in southern Miami, man.
Hey, you said it like a true Cuban too.
Right? He did. They're gonna think he's Cuban. They're gonna think he's Cuban. I'm like, no, this man is black. He's black like an ace of spades.
That's where I learned my Spanish from, man. The Cubans, you have to learn 2 Spanishes with them. Well, 3. You got to learn Spanish. You got to learn Cuban Spanish. Yeah. It's like they put on so many words. And then you have to learn Spanglish. So it's like you learn those 3 and you're set. You can do anything,
No, definitely. I also wanted to ask you, who is your inspiration?
My inspiration, hands down, is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. This guy went from, and if you hear his story, it's a really beautiful story. He talks about $7. He's got the $7 production company. And he says he was doing wrestling. At one point, he was literally, wrestling in flea markets. And one night he looks in his wallet. He's like, I got $7 to my name. And, skipping over major points, man, he ends up moving with his father. He gets into wrestling. He makes a great career out of it. He climbs. He has to switch it over into a whole other industry to go into Hollywood. They try to change him. You notice for a while he was just Dwayne Johnson. He wasn't even The Rock.
Yeah.
He started listening to the wrong people who were telling him, "Hey man, you got to get The Rock out of your name, this and the other." And then he said, "You know what, man? Bump that." He says, "I'm taking my name back. I am The Rock. People know me as The Rock. I'm going to make Hollywood work." And he really did. And you see him do everything from hosting to films, television, TV ads. I mean, he's everywhere. And it's like, he is basically doing the career that I dream of.
One of the questions I was going to ask you, Devon, what is the biggest challenges you face as being an actor? Because, as a man actor, it's very challenging, especially right now in this industry. Yep. What is the biggest challenge that you're facing right now?
You ready for this answer? Hold on to your wigs, because I'm going to get
I am.
The biggest challenge I face as an actor is being Black. And I think we've made a lot of progress as an industry, as an art form. There's a lot of progress that's been made, but people have to realize at the end of the day, people are still people. Whether it's the big money people that run the networks, because they have a decision making. And I'll talk about that in a minute on how that works. But they have a decision they have some input in the decisions on who gets cast and what roles they play. Casting agents, directors, even people who write these roles. A lot of times they're still typecasting Black people in a way that doesn't fit them. Even look at some of the families on TV or on TV ads. They don't look Black like everyday Black people. They look pristine Black, that fake Black. You got to have the light-skinned kids who look like they could be biracial. You got to have the curly hair with the women and the girl. It's not the full-on Black. Now, I know it's worse for Black women, but I think as Black men, if we don't get an opportunity to showcase the diversity of talent we have, whether it's I act and I sing, or I can speak in any form, I can speak proper, or I can speak street. If we don't get an opportunity to showcase that, we get typecasted or we get limited in what we can do. And then the other problem is there's not a lot of representation. I find myself now intentionally ignoring using certain, like I'm a web developer and a graphic designer. I don't even use certain graphics. I don't oftentimes choose to watch certain shows because there's not a lot of representation. I won't even buy products from certain companies because they have no representation, no Black people, no Black men, no Black women whatsoever. And it's like, I'm supposed to buy this. I'm supposed to want to audition for this. I'm supposed to want to be a part of this. No. So that creates a real big challenge that's hard to overcome because people think with their eyes first, and it's really hard for people to get over them and themselves. And as much as people will tell you, I'm not racist. I like everybody. I love Black people. You still have people around them or part of the process who are racist, even to the little bit, the smallest degree.
But do you feel that it kind of affect the younger generation because now they don't see no one looking like them? So if you see a young Black man, now he watch TV now, he don't see someone like a Devon who looks like me. So you kind of see it kind of does affect the younger generation.
I definitely think it does affect them. And even if they don't realize it's affecting them, it is. Because they're either going to do like I did when I was a kid. I wanted to be white. I really wanted to be white. That's mostly what I saw on TV. We're watching Full House. We're watching other shows where it looked like white people were having a great time. Power Rangers. This is one of my favorite shows. They had only one Black actor, and that was Zach for a long time. Then it became a Black girl. But it was almost always for well over a decade, one Black character. Finally, in Power Rangers Turbo, they get a lead Black actor, but for one season. Finally, a Black person plays the Red Ranger. And I remember, I didn't understand what I was sensing, but I remember feeling something about that. It was confusion because I'm so used to a white guy being the lead. Finally, they had a Black guy, but it does affect even young kids when they don't see representation because either they want to be what they see on TV. I don't see Black, so I don't want to be Black. Or it makes them have a resentment toward what is out there. I think the benefit is that they have music to rely on and the celebrities in that art form. So they don't always have to rely on, acting and that sort of thing. But it does affect them not seeing their own race represented.
Man, wow.
And I definitely agree with you in I understand that from wholeheartedly, and it does type pigeonhole a lot of people's careers. But let me ask you a question. But do you feel that I think the best way to try to counteract that is probably being able just to put out your own films at times?
Exactly. And a lot of people discovered the strength in that. Tyler Perry. And Tyler Perry, I think what Tyler Perry faced was less about race and more just about finding a market. But you see the success he had. Oprah Winfrey, who did experience racism. You see the success she had. Going out and creating your own content, producing your own materials, putting your name on good projects, and not having the crab mentality that a lot of Black people have, we'll actually get somewhere when we start supporting each other's stuff and putting out our own stuff. But we got to remember, it's not just about putting something out and calling it Black or Black owned. You got to put out quality. You know, if you want Blacks and non-Blacks to stop watching non-Black stuff, give them something worthwhile in watching. It can't be all the drama that we always see in you know, like Basketball Wives and Love and Hip Hop, because that's not all Black people are. You know, we want to see things like, I'll give you a case in point, great show called Suits. It was
I love that show.
One of my favorite of all time. And the lead actress, whose name is on the law firm in the series, her character's name is on the law firm in the series, Gina Torres, who was Lawrence Fishburne's wife. Gina Torres, lead Black actress, and she represented Black people in that. And I think that gave people something to look at that was very unusual, because we usually see Basketball Wives, Love and Hip Hop. Even The Game, when it was on the CW and when it was on BET, was very Black. Right. It was very Basketball Wives like. It was very
true. Good point.
Like. Yes. This was different. We're seeing an upper crust or a higher earning type character with a Black lead. And then even when she left the series, even before she left the series, they had another strong Black actor on there and a Black actress. And so it's like, we've got to produce that kind of quality and really show ourselves in a great light. But the last thing I'll say on that, we got to also be careful to not marginalize, because what we do, and we saw this in the wake of George Floyd, we go so pro-Black that we exile people who actually have our back, who aren't Black. And we got to remember, the success Black people have had has relied on our partnerships with those who don't look like us. So when we create our content, don't act like they don't exist. I mean, I think the Parkers classic show on UPN, I think the Parkers was a great show because they didn't make the white girl look bad in that show. No. She had promise. No. That was the main character's best friend. So we can make it work. We just got to be crafty with it, put out quality, and not marginalize others. No quote unquote reverse racism.
Boy, you dropping bombs right now.
No, you
People,
did.
Listen in, please take down notes. He's giving out some great information.
Taking the church, yo. I'm taking the church.
Yeah, you taking the church. I want to take on this Good Friday. I was like,
ooh. Taking the church on this Good Friday.
I wanted to ask you, how did the pandemic affected you getting roles and being on shows and everything?
It's felt like it's been the same, because it's still difficult to get roles as it was before the pandemic. But the added benefit is that it has encouraged me to create content. Man, I bought so much stuff from Amazon during the pandemic because I bought a ring light. I bought camera batteries. I bought all kinds of stuff because the whole idea is, man, I want to produce my own content. And I think the pandemic has given me so much free time that I was really out of excuses. There was no, oh, I'm so busy at work. There was none of that. It was just straight up, hey, get to it. So while the industry did shut down for a while, there was a lot of opportunity to create original content and really build my name. I'm doing that with stuff on Facebook. I'm doing that by revisiting some stuff that I, written before. I was telling you about that preacher on his last Sunday, that show that I wrote. I'm supposed to be doing a part 2, bringing it back, like all kinds of stuff, man. It's just one of those where you have to look for opportunity and look for the silver lining and not be, woe is me, there's a pandemic. You can't look for excuses, And I think the pandemic, as much as we lost a lot of people, I'm not insensitive to that, but I think the pandemic really gave us a gift. And if we keep our mentality positive about that, we'll really see what that is.
That's very beautiful.
Yeah.
The next thing I wanted to ask you, I don't know if you remember, and this is a segue to this question. Chadwick Boseman had a part where he was speaking about the way he select roles and how he was on, I think it was a soap opera show, and he didn't like the way he was portrayed on the show. And he was like, you know what I mean, just like how you was talking about earlier and stuff like that. Do you follow that same segue as far as that? Do you pick and choose the role on how it negatively portrays black people? Like, are you conscious about stuff like that?
I'm conscious. Well, yeah, and that's actually a great question, man. I'm actually conscious of it on behalf of other black people. I've been really blessed and fortunate to not ever have to deal with that. The worst that I've had to deal with is, hey, I'm a heterosexual. Am I willing to play a gay character? That's the worst I've ever had to deal with.
How do you handle that situation when they actually ask you for that role?
So, and don't let me forget the answer that I'm on with this current question, but I'm gonna say this with all boldness, and y'all put this everywhere. Devon, who is a Christian, yet Devon supports the rights of all people, including and especially gay people. They have the same thing because they're human beings. I stand by my beliefs. I am who I am, regardless of being an actor, being in the industry or not. I had somebody tell me, well, Devon, you're an actor. You got to be willing to do those roles. No, you got to be willing to shut your mouth. I got to watch what I say because, people listening, you got to be willing to shut your mouth, sir, and not tell me what I need to do. Because at the end of the day, I got to go home and conflict or mull over the decision that I made. Man, I made this choice to do this role. I don't feel so great about it. At the end of the day, I'm not kissing a man. I don't care if it is acting. Oh, but Devon, let me tell you something. That's why you have an agent. It's important to do your research. The agent's job is to get you the role and get you certain things put in. So I can, like right now, I'm actually playing a lawyer who is gay. He talks about it. He had an affair with a 19-year-old student. So yeah, I can play the role, but I'm not kissing a man on stage. And if I have a problem, I will let somebody know. You have to hold on to your morals and standards, not from a place of hate, but a place of loving yourself. And if at the end of the day, I don't feel right about such and such and such, I need to stand on that. And because at the end of the day, I believe I got to answer to God for whatever I do.
Right.
I got to deal with that. So if I get an offer for a gay role that requires me to kiss a man or simulate a sex scene, I'm going to turn it down. Well, Devon, this, that, and the other. Well, listen, talk to my agent. Let's see if my agent can work out a deal. Okay, you want to do a body double? Y'all got solutions in Hollywood. Make it happen.
Man.
You got to have that confidence going in because it's a dark industry and a lot of people go in and they lose themselves in there. They lose their morals and standards. Yeah. They're so afraid to not get offered a role. They're so afraid of that stuff. They live in fear and lack instead of abundance. That's what happens. And they end up doing roles that they really aren't happy doing.
I'm happy that you say that. And I think that, and it's good to hear that, you're a brother of the cloth. We is too. And, you stand by your convictions and your strength. And I think that a lot of people don't have scruples. You feel me? And I think that, us as a community, we're so driven by money sometimes. We'll do questionable things and disregard our morals for those type of things.
I'll chime in on that point and say, man, especially to the females listening, younger females, I feel for you because there's so much pressure for you to compromise, but you don't need to. There are people who've built successful, amazing, beautiful careers who are absolutely beautiful and did not compromise whatsoever. I mean,
preach.
Oprah's not even is not even by career or title an actress, but she's acted in so much. Gayle King has acted.
Yep.
That surprised me because Gayle King is journalism. You do not need to compromise your morals or beliefs, whatever. Stick with what your mama taught you. What you going, because at the end of the day, you got to deal with mom and dang, I got to go to the family reunion and have this looming over my head, or Sunday morning, I can't even sit and worship my God because of the embarrassment and shame of what I've done. Like, no, it's not worth it. No amount of money is worth it. And if they try to act like it is, you go and you create your own content. You create your own industry. Man, even Denzel, if you notice, Denzel doesn't do much in terms of on-scene sexual relations. And I think that has something to do with his wife and his relationship and his marriage. Yep. It's like, hey, me and my wife have an understanding, and I have no problem being told I can't get a role because I won't simulate sex. Whatever.
I love that. I
love that. Yeah.
I love that. That just standing on your square and being convicted to who you are as a person, as a Christian, and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Which I love that. And to hear that, it makes me feel proud. I'm gonna be honest.
It do. Yeah.
To hear that.
Especially when hearing someone like is like us. So he kind of can relate. That's why I said I love this man.
No, definitely.
He's amazing.
Your statement is a good segue to the next question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
When you had decided to become an actor, did you get the family support that you wanted? You could say it's a 2-part question. Or did you had some people who went against it? Because us here being black, just periodly, regardless if we're Haitian, but I'll put this in a point. My parents or our parents don't usually tend to support creative things if it doesn't make sense to people. So that's the question I want to know. Like, did you receive support and did you receive backlash?
I didn't receive backlash, but the support wasn't like, I would see other kids getting support. It actually took a while for mom and dad to see what I was doing and to finally be like, hey, he is about this and he's talented, like for a while, man, I think my parents are questioning, like, did I lose my mind and fall off my rocker trying to do this acting thing, but I think when they saw me actually finally get on TV, they were very proud. I wasn't as concerned about family support because, first of all, my parents adopted 6 of us, trying to take care of a lot of kids at one time, make sure everybody's good. You got girls, and making sure that they don't get pregnant, and principals. You got a really young daughter who's, you treat them like a baby. They had a lot on their hands, so I get that. What got me was, like church family. I for a while, I was just under the belief that, hey, they love me and, oh my gosh, my church family, this, that, and the other, only to find out, like, man, when I first got on TV, I remember announcing it at church and just letting them know I'm on TV. And I remember one of my friends sharing with me, man, they overheard somebody saying, like, I guess the brother announced it and they were like, they overheard somebody saying, Devon's gonna be on TV, like a real TV show. What? It's like they couldn't even believe or at least support the idea, like, hey, here's a person that's, trying to do something with their lives. Somebody who's stayed out of trouble, ain't got nobody pregnant in the church and nothing, ain't caught up in no controversy. Like, you would think, right? But there was a lot of that hatred. And it was like, I call it hatred because there was just a lack of support and for no good reason, And what I've come to realize is that a lot of people, when they're like that, it just comes from them not pursuing their own dreams and goals. And so they don't know what to do but to hate. So that's what that was. But yeah, man,
but why do you feel that they didn't want to support you?
Because I think it had everything to do with them not having done much with their lives. And so it's hard to watch somebody else be successful if I'm not doing what I need to do with mine. I need to talk about this person. Notice, like, when you go to the club, or think about middle school, when you used to go to the parties at middle school, right? What would the people who were too embarrassed to dance with anybody or talk to the chick, or talk to the guy, what would they do? They'd stand on the wall and talk about the next person, because it's easier to talk about somebody when you're not doing what you're supposed to do. It's so easier to talk about others. You're ashamed, so you talk about folk. Look at those girls that's always loud at the club or the parties. Yeah. Oh my gosh, did you see that? Did you see the way she was dancing? Yeah. What she was wearing? And it don't even be that serious. What it is a lack of confidence that people have in themselves. And so they have to be down and hard on the next person. It's bad human behavior, but that's what it is.
Not only that, but I want to ask you, Devon, when it comes to the acting, because is it true that you got to be overconfident or underconfident?
No, you have to be genuine. You have to be authentic.
Facts.
People see through that. People see through all of that. So faking the funk and pretending to be confident, it does nothing for anybody. And people call you out on that because you'll overcompensate, you just need to be authentic. You need to do the work and you need to train, if it means going and taking a dance class because you're auditioning or playing the role of a dancer, you got to go do that. Learn new things on the side, constantly be learning and growing. And then you don't have to be overconfident or underconfident. You'll just be confident.
Wonderful to hear that.
It is.
Let me ask you something that I think you could probably relate to, and I don't know if people ask you this. I love the fact that, your roots is in Miami and you're grounded here, and you was able to do something here that a lot of people haven't. You was able to get roles and stuff like that. So the question I have, because, I've hear people who say, oh, I'm an actor and I'm doing this. And you hear a lot of people telling people, hey, you got to get up and go, or, and leave. So my question is, why didn't you, like, say, for instance, did you ever hear people say, hey, you got to go to California, New York, or Atlanta to get roles. But you know what I'm saying? And first on, why didn't you leave, or in how you was able to overcome that to be able to strive the way you do?
Well, one of the gifts that they give us at New World when we're getting ready to graduate is they'll tell us, hey, listen, here's some advice. And they would say, stay in South Florida for a year, get some work, because building a resume is important. It's not important to build a name, and it's not as important to go out there grinding if you don't have to. And so they would tell you, stay and build a name, whatever. And so I did that. I stayed for a year. The great thing was that we had a market at the time. We had a different governor who was giving tax incentives to film companies to come here and add to our economy by having those shows and everything. Once we changed governors, I think he didn't renew those incentives. And so a lot of those companies had to leave because it was daggone expensive. The other thing is, when you go to those other places like New York or LA, Atlanta, you don't really have a name. And a lot of times you're starting at zero. And man, that's just a lot harder. And it's also expensive. You got to pay bills. You got to pay rent. You got to work. That is much harder on you than if you stay home and build some resume stuff, because I had those roles. Not only could I go and get good auditions because I've done some work, but I could also do things like, what's it called? Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank here. But essentially, by me staying, it just gave me an opportunity to do more at home than to try to do all of this from a distance. Saving money, being close to family. The other downside of those other areas too is that they're very cliquish. Like, that's one experience I had with Atlanta. Very cliquish, man. Like, it's so hard to get work. It's like people are afraid that you're going to get work and they won't. Yeah. But at least when you're
in the barrel.
Yeah, man. When you're here, when you're local and you put in a year, you don't have to do forever here. Some people do get stuck. You got to be mindful of that. Don't get stuck in your hometown.
Yeah.
But, while you're here and building that name, you also give yourself an opportunity to build toward moving to LA, or moving toward New York, because you're not only saving money, but you can also be sending your resume and little clips of what you've done out there. You can be on social media. We have that gift, networking, and to the point of social media, I'll tell you, a lot of people think that being on social media is going to make a career. Oh, well, Devon, you're so funny. Why don't you just go on social media and do some stuff? Yeah, people gonna look at that and niche me, or either be like, man, I don't want to do it. I ain't gonna deal with this guy. And by niching, what I mean is they put you in a niche and you don't really come out of that. Like, there's some people who only do reality TV. They can't get past it. They can't get taken seriously enough to do anything else. So, use social media for networking purposes, not so much for actually making content, because it doesn't really build for you like you would think.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. What about, do you have any other passions besides acting that you want to get into? Which I think a lot of us want to hear, because, we did see your resume. You said you were a comedian, a host, and this and that. But what other aspect of creativity, or maybe in the industry, that you want to focus on besides acting?
Bro, I just really love to entertain, but I have a passion for hosting, emceeing, as well as a passion for comedy. I love doing comedy. I just love the joys of making people laugh. That junk is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And I also have a passion for singing. Yeah, I have a passion for singing. So.
Do you got music out?
No, man. Because I spent so much time doing the other stuff, and I also spent a lot of time being afraid to sing. Like, what if my voice cracks? What if people don't like it? Spent a lot of time operating in fear. Because of that, man, it's so much that I haven't done music-wise.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy to hear that.
Yeah.
It's somebody as confident as you to get in front of a camera and a stage full of people. But it's crazy, but it's also beautiful to hear that you're just normal, just like everybody else.
Yeah, man. At the end of the day, that's what's going to make us successful, too. It's if we keep it honest and remember, we are normal like everybody else. There's no need to fake the funk with any of this stuff. Yeah.
Definitely. Two-part question.
Yep.
What do you see as your strength as being an actor, and how do you prepare for a role?
I think my strengths as an actor really boil down to just the ability to not only work with other people, but give my audience something. Like comical roles I can deliver on. And not the Jim Carrey style where you got to be all over the top, but more so where you can deliver lines in a comical way, or you can build and then drop the joke on people. That's more of my style. I think I leave my audiences with a lot, and I think that's what pulls them in. I think that my castmates have a great time with me. Because it's not just on the stage. It's not just, I don't just act, my fun ability to be worked with doesn't just happen on stage when it's showtime. I also give my cast stuff like during, rehearsals. I give them fun stuff to do, or backstage. I remember we were doing a show at the Sandrell Rivers Theater, which is a spot here in Miami. It's actually in Liberty City. And they have it's a newly built building. They have an intercom system in there. And I remember we just like probably an hour before, we needed to be dressed and ready to go on stage. I remember just, we would clown every once in a while. I get on the intercom and do like the radio station voice. You're listening to Hot 105 right here. And like silly stuff like that. Or I remember one day during like the school announcements voice, and, at Southwest, we had the assistant principal. She was like, and remember to soar like an eagle. And I remember just getting on being silly and just doing like the school announcements. Okay, Southwest, you're here for your afternoon announcements. Today, after school at 3:30, there'll be dance rehearsal in the event. And remember, it was just, and I remember the cast dying laughing over this. And it's now a running joke with us.
Yeah.
Little things like, man, we even do stuff like you're not supposed to as professionals. So to those younger people listening to this, a bit of advice: don't do what I'm about to tell you until you have an established career, when you know you're talented and getting roles because you work hard and you actually do work. Don't do this until that moment. But one of our directors happened to tell us about a little thing that some actors do called the penny joke or something. And that's where you're doing a scene with your partner, and you try to put a penny in their hand in the middle of your scene. And the idea is it's going to make your partner break. They're going to end up laughing. They're going to end up losing it. And I remember us doing little things like that. Me and Edson actually were in a show, and we were trying to see who could make the other person break the most. We were trying to make each other break when we're in scenes together. If one of us is on stage, the other one's off stage doing stuff. I remember Edson, I'm not going to tell you exactly what he did. I remember he did something and I almost lost my mind. He literally was off stage. I could see him and he did it. And I was like, this guy really took it there. Oh my gosh. So I decided to get him. I'm up in we had the equipment room where they play the music and the sound cues and all that, control the lights. So I decided to go up there when he's in the scene, and I literally shined a laser light on stage in the middle of the scene, and dude lost it. And so I think because I have that ability to keep it professional, but still fun on and off stage, I think that's a strength that has really helped propel my career, both in theater and in film. And I'll add this. I like to play. And what do you call it in acting? A play. Not being afraid to play and have fun, whether you're doing something dramatic or something comical, not being afraid to have fun. I think that is the other tool that I have.
No, that's wonderful to hear that. You've unpacked a whole bunch of stuff, and we can go on, and I don't want to lose focus because you saying a lot of stuff I don't think people understand. You gave us a lot of background just in general, just acting alone, and I wanted to get like what kind of where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I'm a household name in LA, in film, television, hosting, doing all the big stuff. One of the featured announcers on like the Grammys, guest starring tonight, not just the Grammys, but the Oscars, the Tonys, everything. Just they can't get enough of me, that might get me in trouble with family because that means I'll be that busy. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to being that active and that well known in the industry.
Hey, you got to go get the bag. They're going to have to, because they're going to enjoy the fruits of your labor.
You already know.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I think family appreciates that too.
Oh, yeah.
They appreciate what I'm doing, so they don't even have a problem with that.
If you was going to make a movie about your life, who would you play?
A movie about my life. What
And
role would I play?
and who would you play?
I would probably play older me. Just providing wisdom to the younger me at the different stages. Because man, what I've been through and learned in life it's been a beautiful journey. And I used to hate my journey, but I can actually appreciate my journey. Because it's really made me into who I am, and I have a different appreciation for life. I have a different, I just have a different energy toward living and producing and just making more matter out of life,
No, that's wonderful. And can you also give us an insight on how does it feel working around somebody famous?
You get starstruck at first, and then you realize, you know what? They human just like me. It causes you to up your game and want to do, the work, do what's necessary to produce quality, not be the weak link. So it does make you work harder. But beyond that, it's just a reminder that we all human, we all got to get paid, because they end up doing a lot of the same stuff as you. They got a trailer just like yours. It ends up being very down to earth, to be honest. I think we unfortunately, over the decades have made celebrities seem like gods and these, heavenly beings that they really aren't. And they surprisingly, the celebrities don't care for it. They don't want it. They want their private time with their families too. They want to be treated like human beings as well. They don't want to be worshiped. And I think in the acting space, when you work with somebody who's a celebrity, you respect what they've done. And that's one thing you got to do. You got to respect who they are and what they've done in the industry, by, not treating them like they're an extra, not treating them like, buddy old pal, unless they treat you that way. And just, making sure that if they're bringing 100%, you bring 110% because you're trying to get to where they are. I'll tell you a couple of, just to name drop a few people. The most famous people that I've worked around, not so much with, would be Mary J. Blige.
Oh, wow.
Mary J. Blige is a sweetheart. Catherine Zeta-Jones and Tom Cruise and Russell Brand. For those who don't know Russell Brand, and he was one of my favorites. Russell Brand was married to Katy Perry. You would know him from the movie Get Him to the Greek. He is absolutely hilarious and very down to earth. So I was an extra on a film called Rock of Ages, and I was playing. I was an extra, and this one night we had to do a scene like 8 times. We had to do it over and over again 8 times. And I remember one of those nights he gave me a nickname. He called me Bananas because I had bananas with me. I didn't know they were gonna. This is my first professional gig, and I didn't know they were gonna feed you on set. They feed you good. And I remember he gave me the nickname Bananas. Now, this is a big name celebrity who didn't have to remember me, especially when he's out here with all these extras, a lot of females, whatever. He remembers me the following night. He's like, oh yeah, Bananas. And it's like in between takes, he's, socializing with the extras. Yeah. He doesn't have to, but he's socializing with the extras. I'm like, this dude is really cool. Yeah. Tom Cruise, on the other hand, he's one of those guys that I think, and it's maybe unique to his style. Maybe he's just super focused, but Tom Cruise was less sociable. Catherine Zeta-Jones, I called her Kathy. I didn't think she heard it. She didn't know who called her Kathy. She didn't know where it came from. And I was just like, let me own up to it. And Catherine Zeta-Jones was cool about it. She actually waved back, even though I called her Kathy. I'm like, man, these people really are down to earth. Mary J. Blige was like, we were doing a scene with her, and I remember her being like, she came out after all the extras had been in their places or whatever, and she came out all sweet. She was like, man, you guys look so nice. Oh my gosh, how y'all doing? Very down to earth Southern energy. And I'm like, man, this lady is pretty freaking awesome.
Damn, that's beautiful to hear that. Yeah. That's my baby.
Yeah.
That's my baby. I love her without a shadow of a doubt. So, you see, I don't want to keep taking up. Roni, you don't got because we got to tag team them.
Roni, throw the questions, bro. Throw the questions.
You know what I'm saying? I can go in for days because you really know how to speak. You speak so fluently and speak so well, and I've learned so much from you in a little bit of time that we've spoken. And I think,
he was very good. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I couldn't even ask him no more questions because I was like, he was just amazing.
Hey, I'm gonna be honest. I'm surprised you don't got a podcast, homie.
No, he do. He actually have a show on Facebook.
I started the podcast and then I dropped it. Like, man, I'm one of them guys that if it feels like it's not working, like maybe it needs more time.
Yeah.
You know, I got to give it that. And so,
Okay.
I had paused it because I was going to rebrand and, you know, really work on getting it together. And that never happened. So I am going to pick it back up. What I started working on was, motivational videos on, Facebook. I am in what's called an incubator, a business incubator. And we had the challenge of posting content that's in line with our brand, for a whole month every day. So it's been hard and I missed some days, but I've been trying to do that. And so I decided to do motivational videos, you know, really inspire people, give them something to work with, make their lives better as mine has become better. So that's where we at. But yeah, man, I'm going to pick the podcast back up. I'm going to do a lot, man. I'm going to get it where it needs to be. I just had to pick. The other thing is I also had to get over fear. That's a lot of what gets in the way for artists everywhere is we operate out of fear. We're afraid of rejection. We're afraid of what if I'm not good enough? What if it don't work? You know,
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, we're afraid. And
I don't feel that from you though, man. You just seem like you top of the block.
Well, you're getting the mature, grown up version of me. But back in Miami Dade, and Ron upset, you know, Ron, that version that Ron knew, that was the overcompensating. Because I knew how to talk to people, I learned how to do that in high school. You know, that guy was easy to be. But when I got home by myself and I had to face the reality of who I am, that was not always easy, man. And here's what's funny. You would see me flirting with chicks all the time, but I was very afraid to talk to those girls. I would flirt because it was easy to be funny. It was very difficult to be myself, you know, and just talk. Like, you know, hey, a lot of us put those fronts on. I got tired of it, you know. So I said, let me just be authentic and real with myself because I'm not trying to live my life this way. I ain't trying to be fake.
That was a quotable you just said.
Yeah, man.
That was a quotable. Let me ask you something which is a real question that I think creatives don't want to hear, and I want you to expound on this. Do you see where the conflict is when you chasing your dream, trying to become an actor, and you still have to maintain your living? Because I think that that's something that a lot of people don't hear from actors, and I would love for you to explain, just creatives in general, how like the difficulties of still trying to make money and still chase after this, because you haven't been in a place where it's Luke, and I'm not saying that, you know, I don't know.
No, you're absolutely right. With the exception of my first TV roles, and they actually paid very well. I know exactly what you're saying. How do you do this and still make a living, or how do you take care of your needs and really do this thing? I'm gonna tell you. I'll start with a quote. I love to tell people this, man. You take care of your passions will take care of you. Yeah. So what I've done is, you know, I learned web design in high school as an elective. I stuck with it. That pays my bills. But then as you learn, I encourage anybody listening to this, go, no matter how old you are, go learn some business stuff. You can be 5 years old right now. If you understand what I'm saying, go learn some business stuff so that you learn how to not only make a career out of this, because even being an actor is business. It's business moves that have to be made. You don't just show up and I'm a celebrity. No, it's business. Bad Baby. You guys know Bad Baby. You know, she's 18 now. Yep. Even Bad Baby, when she was talking about Cash Me Outside, she kind of knew, maybe she couldn't put it in business terms, but she knew the business of being a celebrity or the business of getting famous. She got famous, capitalized on it, bam. And she's doing stuff left and right, climbing that ladder. Now she's got her OnlyFans. Whether you decide to compromise your morals or not, my point is learn some business knowledge, and your career, your pursuit, your passion, your dream will take care of you. Because I'm learning business and how to brand myself, it's gonna, in a matter of time, I'm gonna ultimately be my own manager. You know, I'm gonna find the success in that as an entertainer and you know, get the celebrity name. But yeah, take on jobs, you know, for those who don't understand business yet, or maybe you need some time to get to that level. Maybe you operate out of fear. I get it. So this isn't a judgment call. This is me understanding. Sometimes it's hard to get out of the fear stage. To that person dealing with that, what I will tell you is, you know, until you get to that level, what you can do in the meantime is get a job that supports what you do. You don't have to be a waiter. You know, you don't have to do that.
I was just going to ask you that. Go ahead.
I'm a behavioral specialist at my day job, but I don't have to be at that day job every day. And when I tell them, I can find out tonight that I have an acting gig tomorrow morning. If I tell them that I got that acting gig, they'll be like, all right, cool. Just, make sure you're taking care of whatever your responsibility was. So be adamant about that. But in the age we live in now, it really is not about going to work for somebody. It is about creating jobs and solving problems. So as you do that, just bear in mind that you don't have to work for people. Figure out a way to create a job, solve a problem, and that alone will take care of what you need as it relates to, career and taking care of your bills. But as I said, you take care of your passion will take care of you.
That's beautiful you said that, because we have a lot of people who are creatives, and it's good that you expounded on that, because the point is they're going to hear this and wonder, and I'm happy you answered that question, because they're going to say, hey, I work at Winn-Dixie, I work at the warehouse, I do 40 hours a week. How I'm going to be able to focus on my dream? You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the other thing is you got to be willing to make the sacrifice too. So if you're working 40 hours and it doesn't allow you to do what you love, and Winn-Dixie or McDonald's or Publix, whatever it is, that's not paying you to actually build a life, make that sacrifice and tell them, hey, listen, y'all, I got to reduce my hours or quit. But I got stuff I need to do for me. Y'all not giving me what I need. I had to leave a job. I was working in Brickell. When I moved back to South Florida, I was working in Brickell as a web developer. Not only was I not respected in my capacity, this guy always had an issue with what I was doing. And I think he grew and figured out how to be a better person. But man, I had to make the sacrifice and tell him, listen, bro, I think I want to go back to working. I want to work remote or whatever it was I figured out doing. I ended up making that sacrifice because I had to look out for me. Not only was I not making enough to grow my wealth, I was paying rent, but I wasn't growing wealth. I wasn't able to buy a car, nothing. I was stuck. I had to get to the point and make the sacrifice, say, hey, I need to make a bold move for myself. And I was better for it. I started working from home and started doing better working from home for myself. Yeah, man. So it's one of those, you got to be willing to make those bold moves for yourself. Always be interested in taking care of your passion because it will work out. I'm at the point now where people are calling me saying, hey, Devon, man, loved working with you previously, or hey, I remember you from such and such. I got a project I would love for you to audition for, or hey, I got a project I would love for you to be in it. That's that hard work and discipline, that showing up on time, that, not making work harder for other people, all those little things like that. That's what I mean when I say take care of your passion. That professionalism you bring, that works for you in so many ways. And you just got to believe that you're deserving of it. So no more operating in fear, but operating in abundance. No more, I can't, or what if it doesn't work? No, what if it does work? You got to have that. You got to have that mindset toward what you're doing. Otherwise, you'll always be lacking and you'll never be where you want to be. That's not only a business and career principle. That's even in a dating, in the dating sense, man.
Facts.
Like I was talking about how I was scared to talk to females. I was operating out of lack and not abundance. But I found that every time a female was interested or whatever, or I had a shot, it's because I was doing me and I was abounding. I wasn't coming from that fear and lack place. Ron, do you remember a girl from Miami-Dade named Ashley Blake?
Yes, I remember her. What happened?
So I found out, like, I always thought Ashley was out of my league. I just knew she was out of my league. I'd never get a shot with Ashley. I just knew it, right? She didn't say that. Look, no one ever said that I wasn't going to have a shot with her. But I learned something from talking to Ashley. Ashley and I are really good friends. And I learned a valuable lesson talking to Ashley. And it's that when I was working on me and focused on me and not this, sad puppy dog operating out of fear and lack, she actually had a different perspective of me. She had a respect, among other things, for me that I think not a lot of other guys got from her because, and Ashley, for those who don't know, Ashley is a model. Like,
yeah, she was gorgeous. When I mean she was bad.
Yes.
Bro.
Yeah. And I found that when I was authentically myself and doing me, focusing on take care of me, again, I got that perspective from her, you know what I'm saying? Basically, without saying too much, it got me further than if I had been faking the funk or if all I did was try to pursue her. You know what I'm saying? We were recently talking and I got that feedback from her. So, man, when I say take care of your passions and your goals, take care of you, focus on making you better and awesome, everything falls into place. It applies to so much. I mentioned that dating component because I know that's going to be big for a lot of people listening to this, whether it's through your career or before. But you understand when you take care of your passions, it benefits so many things, from your money to your dating life to everything in between. Take care of you and your goals. Do it. It's worth it, and you won't regret it. You'll love yourself even more for it.
Wonderful.
So my thing is, when it comes to, you have really good success in the dating market even now, because I consider you to be a high profile actor, even though you may not see it, but I see it already. So do you kind of see it very challenging on the type of women you can pick and choose now, because you got to be very careful, because you might come across a lot of gold diggers.
Yeah, bro, listen, gold digging is huge, man. I got stories. I used to be the guy who had to prove that I was right by putting myself in a position that I didn't need to be in, right? So what I would do is I would know that I'm like, dang, I know this girl a gold digger, bro. I know I'm tripping. I know she a gold digger, but just to prove that I was right, I'd have to go put myself in that position, right? Man. Yeah. And I end up being right. And I learned, bro, I said, Devon, stop doing that, bro. You done spent how much money needing to prove you were right? I done spent $150 needing to prove that I was right. Money that I could have saved, right? And while it's not a lot, it's still money could have been spent on something else, right? So I find that to be part of the case. And you got to start trusting your instincts. When you know somebody is gold digging or you sense it, believe that. You don't need to doubt yourself because, oh, wait, what if I'm wrong? If you're wrong, you're wrong. And the person who actually likes you will show you, say, hey, listen, I get that you thought this and I understand where that mindset came from. But I want you to know I'm not here gold digging. They'll make it clear. They'll make it clear for you.
No, definitely.
But yeah, man, I even had, now I'll tell you, as far as dating and being in this industry is concerned, before I got on TV and after I got on TV, I found that, man, not everybody can handle that career because it requires time. Like you got to rehearse, you got to do so much stuff that you wouldn't be able to normally do, if you weren't in this industry. And you got to be willing to make a determined decision on, hey, what matters more right now, my relationship or me doing what it is that I love. And so for me, I've been in that position. I had a girl I was dating in 2010. This girl cheated on me. And, if you're a cheater, you're a cheater. It's not, oh, well, this happened, so I cheated. Nah. So I remember, man, we were having rehearsals, and them rehearsals were going at like 2:00 in the morning. We would be in rehearsal from 5 to 2. I mean, we were going in because that director didn't play. She was about making quality. And I remember the girl being like, yeah, but every time I talk to you, you're not available. And this, that, and the other. And she had a valid point, not to cheat, but she did have a valid point about not being available. And so I had to navigate that. And actually accept the fact that, hey, well, you know what? As much as I wanted to date her, well, wasn't ready for dating an actor. I even was talking to somebody more recently, and this girl pointed out earlier this week, I don't like that your schedule, the place that your schedule is consistent, and I had to remind her, well, first of all, I was started talking. And the other thing is, only this week is my schedule crazy, but that's a red flag for me with her. And I need to know this might be an issue going. I can't lie to myself and deny it. You know what I'm saying? I know I want that relationship. I know I want to date. I know I want to have that successful, happy love life, but I also want to be happy with my career. And that at the end of the day is what you got, is what we got to be mindful. You never know. You never know how it'll turn out.
No, definitely. Let me ask you a question. You said a lot about your accomplishments. I love it.
Yeah.
I want you to talk about your failures. I want you to talk about your failures. I want people to hear about your failures because I like to go back to one of my favorite songs by Fantasia, You Gotta Fail to Win. I don't think a lot of people understand that. And you know what I mean? It's a two-part question. Talk about your failures and then tell me how Christianity had played a role in you as far as this.
Failures, man. Well, I'll tell you, one of my failures came from just not being mature on set. And I mean that in terms of I was late twice and I got fired from them. They didn't write me a termination letter or anything. I get asked back. In fact, they killed off my character. And I think it's because I was late. And the guy told me, bro, you cannot be late. And I was still late. So my failures came to maturity, operating out of fear, stuff like that. And dude, I could just tell you, I got so depressed before I moved here because there was a girl that I had really wanted to be with, and that didn't work out. On top of that, I had to move back in with my parents, and I wasn't getting roles, and so I was depressed over her, operating out of fear, just a bunch of stuff that really hurt my trajectory in my career. It's like I had to build from scratch again, you know? A lot of that was happening. And so I think that's a huge failure for me. Just having a life that I operated out of fear. It's hard to say other failures because I just don't see a lot of that stuff as failures. I see them as learning lessons. I see them as opportunities for growth, like legit, real opportunities for growth. So yeah, it's hard to call them failures. As far as like my faith and religion is concerned, I think the way that played a role is it just gave me something to hold on to, especially during the tough times. Because it's easy to quit on yourself. It's easy to want to say I'm no good. And I remember, man, God started me on that path. God allowed me to start that path. How can I give up on myself? If God is believing in me and still throwing opportunities my way, how dare I quit? Yeah, Devon, you didn't get the last 10 auditions, but he's still sending opportunities your way. That means after 10, you might get number 11. You know, you might keep showing up.
Yeah.
I will say another failure I had was just quitting on myself, where I was just kind of not into how I look, not taking care of myself, depressed, eating bad, going to bed, you know, late, watching the wrong stuff, listening to the wrong people. Like that, I could call a failure. Past that, I couldn't say much else was a failure because, again, it was learning lessons and growing.
Listen, you know why I mentioned failures? I mean, you ever read the book by Ray Dalio?
Nope.
It's a good book. You know what I mean? He's one of the biggest hedge funds in the world. He talks about how he treated each failure as a
right, which is true.
But they don't hear the parts that you talk about: getting fired from a role, not being called back, role get killed off. To know
because I came because they don't you know, people don't want to talk about it because they know when they talk about it, people don't want to hear that. They want to hear, how can I win? I want to win in this industry. Show me how to win. That's all people want to hear. They don't want to hear failures no more.
And it's beautiful, Devon. And I love the fact in the beginning you talked about the issues, and I think that should resonate in all forms of creativity, how you still have to strive. And even though, you know, your skin complexion does play a part on your success, if you let it.
You're going to have obstacles to climb. I think we have to be honest with ourselves at the end of the day. I think it's easy to do that fake motivation thing where we start lying to ourselves, and we have to accept the truths and the realities, but you can't let those things, you know, limit you and inhibit you. And I think that's what happens for a lot of people. I will say though, despite all the challenges and failures that do happen, you just have to have a desire to always want to be better. And you got to be willing to face the music over and over again. You know, you got to be willing to do that because you're just going to go through stuff, and you got to seek out motivation. You got to seek out the things that are going to keep you inspired because, there's a lot of naysayers. There's a lot of negative people just wanting you to fail. It exists. That's the reality of it. But if you stay honest with yourself and true to yourself, you will win regardless. You're going to go through some stuff. You got some lessons to learn, but you will win because you're determined to, and you're showing not only life, but you're showing God that you want this thing, that you mean to have this. You're not here to play, you know? You just got to push through. And the other thing is that life is always going to be about work. It is not meant to be easy. So be willing to work. Be willing to put in the time and deal with the struggles and the obstacles. Be willing to do it. It's worth it. It's like getting sexy. You know, people want to get sexy overnight. Not going to happen. You're not going to spot train your way into sexiness. You got to deal with the grueling days. Like, I'm actually sore right now. I started doing Insanity again. I've been in the gym, but I haven't worked out this hard. And I'm feeling the pains of it. But hey, we're going to do this thing. Why? Because I'm about this life. This is what I want to do, you know, and I understand I got to go through some stuff to get there. That's life, you know, and life ain't easy. Life ain't fair. You accept those two truths, you will win. You ain't got no choice but to.
I love that. You're an inspiration, brother. You're an inspiration. This is my last question. I want you to tell people what's next for you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, what you got working on. Yeah.
What you got working on, what you doing, what you doing right now. If you got anything you want to message to our viewers, where they can find you, where they can listen to your content, watch you, you know what I mean? Some of your older content. Cause I wanted to know about that because I was looking to see where I could find where you played the old man, the Gene one. You feel me? Yeah. I want you just to give all that information.
Absolutely. So you can always catch my content, the television, those roles. You can always catch those on YouTube, youtube.com/Devon Dassaw. It's all there, so catch it. You might have to sift through some videos because I'm trying to build that network. I'm trying to build my YouTube presence. I'm also on Instagram, Devon Dassaw. You can actually find me anywhere with my first and last name. other thing is, what am I working on? Right now, I'm just working on building up the following and the brand with the motivational stuff. I'm in a play at the Jewish Cultural Arts Center in Aventura. I am playing a lawyer who is all about his trying to do what's right, despite blackmail and other things. Really fun role. I also am, what else am I working on, man? Just trying to get content made. Twitter, I'm actually on Twitter as actor Devon, and that's really it, bro. I'm just waiting for things to open back up with the TV stuff so I can really get back to building up that brand. And
no, but I see great opportunity for you, Devon. Like, you just amazing, man. You just amazing person. Like, tonight, I learned so much.
Thanks, brother.
You didn't even miss a beat.
Thank you, brother. I my goal is always to give people something, man. I know the life of not having anybody on your side, being alone, having people against you. I know that experience firsthand. And I had a choice to be bitter about it and want to put other people through it. But I get guilt really. And so if I'm hurting other people, I'm going to feel that guilt. So I always like to try to leave with something. That's what it is. Leave folks with something, whether you got something or not, whether anybody's ever been there for you, leave people with stuff, man. Always give them something. You know, I've been blessed to be in a position where I can leave people with more than they got. So that's what I'm doing. And it is not about keeping all the good information to myself, because what if somebody else makes it? Bro, if somebody else makes it because something I did, I need to pat myself on the back and continue working on myself. But I don't need to be operating in fear of what if and trying to keep all of that from them. That's not the way to be, you know? And so that's why even with this interview tonight, I just wanted to, you know, leave the listeners with something. It's a lot there, so it's something for everybody, you know? And if somebody say they ain't get nothing, you know, maybe they didn't want nothing. I'd say that much. Maybe they didn't want nothing.
You done gave us the whole tabernacle, and I really appreciate
it. He did.
That's it for me. If there's anything else you want to say, or Ron, you got a question? Because, man,
I'm not gonna lie, like, the questions I wanted to ask him, he already answered them.
Yeah, you did.
So it was like, yeah, because he's so very detailed. So like, wow, like, he was trained very well in the acting game. So it was like, it's just amazing to see his growth, because I knew him since college. So it was like, wow, like, when you work hard, this is who you become.
Yeah, I'll leave them with this bit of encouragement. Remember what I said about fear and being authentic. Authenticity is essential, especially as an actor anyway, because acting defined is truthful behaviors and imaginary circumstances. So even the work of being an actor requires truth and authenticity. So my thing to people is, no matter what, just be authentic. Be authentic. It's so easy to try to be somebody else. It is hard to be yourself. It's easy to try to be somebody else. You'll never successfully be who you are not, because the truth will always tell it. The camera tells the truth. So you're reminded all the time to be truthful. Do not allow yourself to fall in the trap of being fake, because the people you're trying to be fake for don't even care. They know you're being fake. You know you're being fake. So who are you really helping by being fake? And I think that's just something we need to live by. And then lastly, I'll say no more operating in fear. If you're trying to do the acting thing, if you're trying to do anything in life, you're not going to do it if you do it out of fear. That will get you nowhere. So remember to be fearless. Why don't you deserve to be happy? Why don't you deserve to be successful? You know, who wrote that law that you don't deserve to be a successful actor or actress, to have a name, to overcome obstacles and challenges? Out of all the sperm your dad had, you made it this far and you survived. So that tells me you were meant to be here. You're meant to do this. Live fearlessly, live abundantly. Don't ask the questions of what if as a means to not do it. Ask it as if you're looking for all the reasons to do it. Instead of what if I fail, ask, what if I succeed? What if I go a little bit harder? Challenge yourself, like play that game with yourself and challenge yourself to go above and beyond and apply what if from that perspective. You know, it's like when you're in the kitchen and you're having a good time mixing things. Well, what if I add a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you taste like, wow, that was good. Sometimes it's not good. Sometimes very nasty, but you have fun learning in that process. That's how you apply what if. So no more fear. Remember that you deserve it. And I'll quote Les Brown here, who says, as you begin to believe that you deserve it, your passion and goals become so real that fears won't matter. They might matter today, but as your passions and goals become bigger, larger, and more realistic, fear won't matter.
That being said, KI Culture Radio, Hakeem,
we out.
Peace.
Man, I just appreciate y'all just listening. Stay tuned for the next episode.